Dudes. Over the past couple of weeks, I've made some posts on my YouTube community page and on my Twitter page talking about how frustrating the cheating situation in Rainbow Six Siege has become. It's equally frustrating to talk about it because people get irritated pretty quickly. Siege content creators are routinely told that they're just complaining and their channels are dying, so they don't have anything else to talk about, blah, blah, blah. This is a theme with me, with the 1 out of like 10 videos that I upload talking about an issue with the game, or Varsity Gaming with his cheating breakdown series where he reviews VODs of people suspected to be cheating. People who don't run into cheaters very often are under the impression that the issue is overblown. And with some people, there's certainly a placebo effect at play, but I'm not here to add fuel to the fire. I'm here to give suggestions for putting out the fire and at least in part explain why I think the fire is there in the first place. But we're not talking about just any fire here, okay? We're talking about, like, Chernobyl Reactor 4 kind of fire. It's bad. But we're not even going to start with the cheating thing. At this moment of recording the video, I haven't played the new event mode. Maybe someone is going to find an exploit for that mode and then ruin it like they did last time. Now, aside from the fact that that is possible and how worrying that is, this event wasn't announced until an EUL stream on August 1st, the day before its deployment to live servers. The fact that this hasn't had any hype buildup over the course of the last couple of weeks at least is ridiculous. I'm going to use the L word that would probably get me nuked by Ubisoft out of another context, but since the event is public, it shouldn't matter anymore. I knew more about the event from leaks than I did Ubisoft's own press releases, of which there were 1 the day before the event. In fact, it seems like the leaks were doing a better job of doing promotional material for the upcoming Mute Protocol sequel than the marketing department, which isn't saying a lot because the amount of promotion done for this event was nothing. This is not okay. I have a degree in communication and new media, and this is literally the opposite of what we would be trained to do in this kind of environment. If I had a campaign brief for an upcoming limited time event in a popular video game with skins to sell and potential revenue to be made off of it, and the only thing I turned in was a tweet and a quick ad on one of the local Pro League streams, my professor would have thrown that in the garbage. Rightfully so. I never, ever, in my 4 years in university classes, had to submit a task with so little involvement, and that was the degree for student athletes to get an easy A in so they could focus on sports. I just happened to get that degree so I could focus on drinking. Now, the main problem here is that Ubisoft is straight up not leveraging any of their clout, which dwarfs me in comparison. I am a bird on the elephant. I make an honest living picking bugs off of the elephant. But the elephant refuses to drink water from the multiple clean water sources surrounding it. What you should do with this kind of event is reach out to the NAL, APAC, LATAM, and EUL streams and go, hey, we have a package to run on blah 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 date at blah 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 time for the new event. And tweet it out. Now, we got a tweet, but like, again, it's too late, man. This is such an easy home run to hit. It's a fucking meatball over the plate. Like, fucking put out a thing on Twitter that goes, the sequel to the critically acclaimed event, Mute Protocol. Critics are calling it Poggers, a rare Pepe in the rough. This event was based, says Guy Streamer. Mute Protocol 2. Tune into EUL on date at time to find more. Not only are you promoting your event, you're promoting the Pro League stream. We already do this with the new content releases. Why can't we just do the same level of anticipation and build up here? I'm not saying to announce it a month in advance, but 24 hours is not good enough. The last tweet made before the announcement of the event was this. And this is the only kind of clip I've ever seen from the Rainbow Six Twitter account. Siege is such a complex game, but we're like obsessed with not pissing off the noobs too much because they'll get mad and smash the toys before leaving the playground? When are we going to accept that this game is too complicated to be played at a super casual level? That the enjoyment for most people comes out of the destruction, intel game, and gadgetry synergies? I'm tired of Big Chungus what the dog doing LMG mounted and loaded. Yeet this shit into a red dwarf. Now, back to the marketing for the event. If there is engineering and groundwork going on that is keeping us from being able to announce this outside of a 24-hour window, there is something wrong. And I believe there is something wrong with the current game engine that was made for Assassin's Creed 3. I believe it's also responsible for this cheating crap. Siege's cheating problem is a hugely toxic component that is keeping it from being a competitor in the mainstream FPS market. Notice I said mainstream. I'm not talking milsim, get shot in the stomach and bleed out for 40-minute simulators. I'm not talking guys who buy Black Rifle coffee. I'm talking guys who buy G Fuel. I'm not talking guys who go, fucking A well told. I'm talking guys who go, sheesh. I think this game can be mainstream. Not as mainstream as a game like CS or Val, but it can be mainstream. It was mainstream. Now, guys who go sheesh are very steeped in the competitive culture of this game. There's a reason Ubisoft does all of their major press releases at LANs. It serves two purposes: to promote the esports scene and to promote new content. Without Pro League, you don't get any marketing for the fucking game. If somebody becomes a fan of a particular team during a LAN, then they'll be more likely to watch the next stream, and the next stream, and the next stream, which makes them great targets for advertising your new content. The more people that tune into the stream during the press release, the more hype and word of mouth is generated for the upcoming content release. So Pro League is more than just for entertainment. It's also a very important marketing component of Siege's overall strategy, and a very successful one at that. Despite this game's mounting problems and mauling Reddit threads aplenty, Siege gets pretty decent traffic during LANs. But the game is like my small town university, hustling and bustling during football games, especially during homecoming, but outside of that, anybody looking for something to do on the weekend is going to go somewhere else. A common counter-argument to this point is that viewership on Twitch and YouTube are not good indicators of a game's health or popularity. And my main counter-argument to that is that that's bullshit. Games live and die by their association with the internet in 2022. As the medium has become more and more mainstream, it seeks the attention of advertisers in the social media space. Don't get me wrong, I don't think games are as mainstream as people think they are. I still think gaming in general is a hobby. Not everybody is a gamer. Not everybody is comfortable living in an apartment like this and door dashing all of their meals. Not everybody is a skateboarder. Not everybody works on cars. But gaming is a very popular hobby with its own culture and culture subsets, a lot like these cultures, and has enough clout to stand on its own as a lucrative model to do business in. So when a game can't sustain itself in this environment, it gets relegated to one of two things: a relevant niche game with a small but loyal fan base that has enough passionate people involved to keep it alive, or a dead game because everybody left and the devs killed off any goodwill they may have had, a semblance of implying they had. That's it. Remember Tribes Ascend? This game was quite popular in 2012. We should thank our lucky stars that Siege has had the success it's had for as long as it's had. But I've seen games die. It does happen. Hi-Rez, the developers of Tribes, would regularly pull ridiculous decisions out of their ass, and then they would get pissy about it and then insult the community for getting irritated by it. Same thing happened to Battlefield. EA, as Video Game Donkey once put it with Metal Gear, has taken that franchise and crashed it into the side of a fucking mountain. Battlefield was huge when I was a kid. Now EA has killed off so much of their reputation that more people want them to avoid making Bad Company 3 because they fear EA fucking it up so badly that they want to keep the good memories they had of the first games. Halo Infinite was one of the most mechanically sound Halo games developed in over a decade, and it bombed because its live service model was dog shit. All the money in the world cannot insulate you from bad, out-of-touch decision-making. Why does Insurgency Sandstorm do so well? It's because the devs listen to the community. They're involved in the day-to-day ground game of what's going on with the community. They're passionate about the project. And Ubisoft needs to listen to guys who go sheesh. Guys who go sheesh are instrumental to the success of a game with sheesh-like elements, clutches, ninja diffuses, big brain outplays. Guys who go sheesh are leaving this game in droves because the cheating crap has gotten completely out of control. Right now, Siege doesn't really have any endgame content. You can buy all the operators, you can grind for that, or you can grind for a ranked charm. But now there's no point in even grinding for a ranked charm because if you get to high rank, you're just going to play nothing but cheaters anyway. If nobody wants to play at a high rank, nobody wants to stream at a high rank, there's no streams, there's no revenue being generated, there's no word of mouth being generated for the game. If Sheesh Shane decides that another game is worth more his time, then his stack is going to do the same thing. Without Captain Kyle, Siege would go the wayside of Tribes Ascend, a game with a unique concept that was able to pull its own weight based off of that concept, but too specific an experience to be able to survive off of its novelty alone. Game architecture like a working anti-cheat, good marketing, and a working client are not just annoyances getting in the way of a good experience here. They're ailments plaguing the game's long-term success because Siege is uniquely harmed by it. Captain Kyle may not think he encounters cheaters, but he does. He just doesn't know it. He can't tell that it's weird a guy looked at nothing for 4 seconds in the kill cam and then snapped to his head with perfect accuracy through a wall with no intel. He thinks the guy pre-firing him for no reason around a corner with no information is just cracked, or they had a drone on him. And that's the problem, because sometimes the guy is just cracked, but sometimes they're cheating. This is why cheating in Siege is such a pain in the ass. We're doing detective work for Ubisoft and can suspect somebody, but oftentimes a cheater can do a good job of concealing their cheats. I think there's this idea that only bad players cheat. Yes, a lot of them do, and you can usually tell if they're bad because they suddenly have really good aim 1 second and then the rest of their mechanics are just dog shit. But good players do as well, and they can hide them. This is a problem that is rampant in FPS gaming, but seems to hit Siege uniquely hard because so much of it is information-based. If somebody can just act like they had information and play it off, then they can make it seem like they have game sense and decision-making skills that they don't naturally have. And that goes deeper than just raw mechanical aim talent, which is what most people think of when they hear the word cheating in a video game. I'm going to read off an interesting post in my YouTube community page talking about some of the specifics that I think are at play here. From Samir Niaz, and I hope you don't mind me using this in this video. While I am a software engineer, I have no clue what R6's codebase looks like, but I have a few insights as to why Siege struggles with cheating issues. By far the most important issue, in my opinion, is the lack of full server authority when it comes to the networking design of the game. A game with full server authority takes client input, computes the output, and sends the output to all clients. Extreme simplification. In a game with partial or no server authority, the client computes the output of its own input locally, then relays it to the server, which relays it to other clients. Now, it's quite obvious why this is problematic. A client can just tell the server that they have 20k ammo, or that they move from one side of the map to the other in a single tick. This hits the nail right on the head for all of my suspicions. It seems like the game is being easily tricked into thinking that there are certain outcomes happening within the game that shouldn't be happening. Siege walls are basically just the game client being tricked into thinking that somebody hit a Cavantero. When the zombie mode was released a while back during Operation Outbreak, in Parabellum, there were a lot of blatant cheaters abusing the spawn system of the zombies in the Outbreak event. Siege has basically become a black market Gmod server. Samir continues, another aspect to this, which most people do not consider, is that since Siege provides LAN capability to the public freely, this means that the server-side machine code is shipped to the user, meaning they could decompile it and inspect it to see what vulnerabilities it has. This sounds exactly like what is going on. He continues, now, is this all easy to fix? Definitely not. And I agree. In my opinion, and this is controversial, I think Ubisoft should just go the Siege 2 route. I agree. And rebuild it from the ground up with modern technologies and methods. The codebase for Siege now is very mature. The modules for networking were probably written by developers who do not work there anymore, and no one dares touch it because they don't know how it works or is poorly documented. So with the large amount of turnaround on the Ubisoft staff side, this makes a lot of sense. It would explain why, despite this being like the most fucking important issue plaguing the game right now, that nothing is being done. Because quite literally, with the current architecture they have, the staff does not know what to do. And that's not their fault. That's not the dev team's fault. It's corporate's fault. I know I've said publicly that I don't want to become another YouTuber where the only content they upload for weeks on end is just complaining about the game that they are playing, and I've never been that content creator. That is a fact. I have intermittently made videos talking about issues with the game and my stances on them, but I stand by the fact that informational content about the game outweighs them. Explaining an issue in the game that I make a living off of with a suggested improvement is in my best interest. Advocating for yourself and your work is not toxic. Demanding better of people in authority with ample opportunity to do better is not toxic. A culture where content creators keep up a certain face and lie through their teeth because some people may glean the wrong thing from it is not a culture that is conducive to a healthy working environment, one, and on a more personal level is anti-consumer as fuck. I can't talk about these issues day in and day out, though. It wears me out, and it wears the community out. So all I can do is hope that these words reach the right people and that it illuminates the topic enough for people to start paying attention. If this video raised your Siege IQ, for what it's worth, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this in the Gregor Gaming Experience, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Deuces.